Right now, the Biden administration is doing these huge grants for mental health. And they're getting away with that by stating that there is evidence-based research shows or is data-driven. Those three terms: data-driven, research shows, or evidence-based. And the reason why they're getting this data is from the data mining that they're taking from your children in class. And they're called social emotional learning surveys, or these health surveys given by the state. Social emotional learnings is a private company, a lot of money, your tax dollars. And then they're also doing the surveys from the state. Most parents believe that these questions, if I can just see the questions, they're innocuous, whatever. It's not the questions, even though there's some real heavy sexual questions there for children. It's how they interpret the data, Liz. So I'll give you an example. One of the questions, social emotional learning questions, is how confident are you that you can complete the work that's assigned to you in school? In any other time, that's a fairly good question because you want to measure how they feel about their work. Is it the teacher not maybe teaching it right? Or there's a lot of different things. Is it the home? They're not doing, the homework. The parents are not involved. It's a good measure. Today, if you answer, I don't feel confident doing my work, or it's too much work, which of course, what child wouldn't answer that? They now say the school culture is oppressive. The school culture is not representative or inclusive of students. And the recommendation would be to include more flags, more GSA clubs, or the Gay Sexual Alliance clubs, more pornography, more different groups coming in, more political ideology, more transgender ideology, because students don't feel inclusive, welcome, seen, insert your nonsense virtual signaling. And that's why they cannot study. That's why. And so now you and I both know that if a school says, oh, okay, research shows we're going to put more of this stuff in, all that does is, of course, sucks away time and attention from academics, because you're making them victims. Then the next year, when their academics is even more lower, now they take that survey again and they come back and say, oh, academics are even worse because the school still not inclusive. So it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy of this data. And we'll talk about what the parents can do about that. But that's what the Biden administration are using. They're using that data and they're pumping in hundreds and hundreds of millions for mental health. And now these schools have to create these programs, have to hire more social workers and school counselors. It's happening in all 50 states. And that's what they're doing. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy of collect the data, mine the data, interpret it how we want, and then infuse the school with more of these ASCA school counselors and social workers.
That's so insane that they would take a question like, do you feel that you have too much homework, to a child? Every child's gonna answer yes to that, by the way, as they should.
As they should, right.
And they're gonna infer that if a child thinks that they have too much homework, that means that they're not given the resources, and those terms have too positive of a connotation, but they're not steeped in ideology of some other kind of identity-driven club. I mean, to call that methodologically corrupt is like the tamest phrase that I can think of. It's almost as if they think that we as parents are too dumb to even look into this, that they would try to propagate this on the scale that they are. I'm sure every parent listening to the show has seen those health surveys. You've seen the social emotional learning questions that are asked your students. You might look at it and think, okay, I don't know what the big deal is. These are fairly innocuous questions, whatever. Right. But this is what's behind all of them?
Yes. And so right now, the health surveys between January 3rd and June 30th, all 50 states at different times are doing these health surveys. The health surveys, you can opt out because it's given by the state. But of course, they don't make it easy. And if you go to courageisahabit.org, we have a little button there that says 2023 health survey, and we walk you through what to do and what to ask. So you can get out of those. The social emotional learning surveys are a lot harder because it's from a private company like Panorama. And those companies don't make it easy for you to see the questions. You actually don't see the questions at all. And they make it very difficult for you to opt out. There's no path to opt out. You have to force that. You can force it, but it's difficult. And we walk you through that under SEL data or SEL surveys. And so, but in these questions, so one of the things I want parents to stop asking is, let me see the questions. It doesn't matter what the questions are. It doesn't matter. It's how they interpret the data. and they interpret it through the lens of a critical race theorist. Or they, if you want to say it, they interpret through a lens of somebody who is very steeped in left-wing ideology.